Hello and welcome to the sewing studio. Today I'm going to show you how to make this quilt, which is called Tumbling Charms. Now you can make this quilt using a charm pack and a white jelly roll, which is 2.5 inch strips, or alternatively you can cut your own, which is what I've done. So I've cut myself a whole stack of 5-inch squares. And this was a design, it was a Macawa design designed by Diane Rooney, and it was called Merrin. So I'm very fortunate to have some of this fabric that I have been able to cut out into 5-inch squares. The other thing you're going to need is 2.5 inch strips. So I've used a white on white fabric with tiny little white stars. So as I say, I've cut my own. And what you do is you join a strip of white fabric to a piece of patterned fabric. So I'm just going to go to the machine and I'm going to do that first of all. And using a 1/4 inch seam, I'm going to sew that. I don't pin it, I don't pin anything. It's only a small piece. So I'm just going to machine that on to show you what I mean. And then I'll come back and show you how that's gone. So we would press that to set our seam and we would flip it back, and then I would just trim it off there. Alternatively, if you wanted to do a long strip, you could do something called flag piecing. So you could take a long strip of white fabric and you could join, I'm just going to move these out of the way so you can see a little bit better. So you could take a long strip and join all your flags. So it's called flag piecing or chain piecing. So you literally put your white piece under the machine and you go all the way along, stop with your needle in the work, put your next piece up, sew to the end, put your next piece up until you've got a piece that looks like this. And then what you do is you press it back and with your rotary cutter you cut them off. So you then end up with pieces that look like that. So what I'm going to do now is go to the machine again and just sew another white piece on, because now I'm going to sew this white piece all the way to the end, because what I want to create is that effect. So I'm just going to the machine again and I'm going to sew that down. If you wanted to cut all your white strips in advance and do them singularly instead of chain piecing, what you could do is you could cut your 5 by 2.5 and then you need to cut a 7 by 2.5, and that's your two sizes. So you could have a big stack of the smaller piece and then a big stack of the longer piece, and then you press that and flip that back, and that gives you your block. And that's what we're going to use now to lay out. So I'll just show you with what I've got here already. And as I say, this is called Tumbling Charms. So you lay your patterned piece. We go top right. Let's choose a contrast. Bottom left. Then we go top right. Going to slide that over there, and then we go bottom left, and then our next row we're going to start differently. So our next row is going to be our bottom left. So you always alternate what you've got there. So our next row then is going to be top right, then our next one is going to be bottom left. And I would mix this up so I've got a better spread of colours if I was doing this at home. So basically what you're looking for is this design of your charms. So if you look at this quilt, for example, you can see your charms are coming down on a diagonal, hence the name Tumbling Charms. And then I didn't put a border on this, I just put some binding on it. The quilting is really simple. I've just done a wavy line in white all the way round the bigger block, and that's just like a wavy, or you could do a zigzag, or you could do a patterned quilting. It's a really quick, simple way to quilt a quilt, and it's quite a fun quilt. I mean, that would be beautiful as a baby quilt. So I'll leave that with you, and I look forward to seeing you next time here in the sewing studio.